and how it's going to affect our lives in the future. There are four names that you know. Most of you do anyway. Michael Abramson, Carl Angotti, Alex Havasy, and Scott Wakefield. He didn't even know his name, or I couldn't write it well. So I guess I'll turn it over to the mic over to them, and it's up to them as to which order. My understanding is that the four of them will prefer to present all four presentations and then have discussion following that. So it's with a great anticipation, I hand the mic back to one of them.
I suggest we go in the order that the announcement said. So I think it's alphabetical by last name. Michael, are you in a good position to start?
So my biggest concern is the race to artificial, what I would call general artificial superintelligence, or I can abbreviate it as JACI. And just to make it clear, I'm not talking about ChatGPT. Because this is not the goal of OpenAI and Anthropic and all these other companies that participate in this race. The real goal is JACI, or General Artificial Superintelligence. And general and super, or superhuman, these are two different dimensions or two different characteristics of this. Because we already have superintelligence. No one will ever be able to win in these Atari video games or strategic games like chess or Go. Or no humans will be able to do something like figure out all possible folding patterns of proteins that AI system did. So this capability is already there. For instance, Google's alpha series of their AI systems, they demonstrated that in many areas we can exceed human capability, and this is a done deal. Now, it's interesting that this is halfway to be general, because their platform, Alpha, it's a common engine that they can customize for different applications pretty easily. But it's not really general in the sense how we humans, what our intelligence is. But now this large language model based chatbots like ChatGPT, they provide a kind of general capability which is not intelligent at all. But it is general. And it is kind of important, because if it is combined with other kinds of computer intelligence, it can make them, allow them to seamlessly interact with humans and practically remove this barrier, communication barrier between humans and machines. And so the current state of this race is that they are aiming to release what they call AI agents. And these AI agents, they would include real machine intelligence, maybe initially not superhuman, but pretty advanced. And this will allow these systems to quickly learn from humans and about humans. And this last part is critical because once this machine intelligence understands humans, understands human behavior, human motivation, they can be ready to take over, basically. So my prediction that within 5 to 10 minutes, JC, or general artificial superintelligence, will not only be developed and come online within 5 to 10 years, but it really will take over. So humans just will not be able to compete with this kind of powerful intelligence, even if these AI agents are used in advisory role, that probably will be the case maybe for years. But their advice will be so good that humans just will trust it automatically. They will accept it. Like the pilots are trained now to rely on flight management system because they know that FMS is always right. This, if I had more time, I actually consider this topic so important that I would suggest to have one of Sunday forums specifically devoted to this topic. And for this, I can prepare the formal presentation with slides and everything. But for now, I can just say that even if my prediction is just too confident, and for me, it's not typical to make so confident predictions, but I expect this to happen, this JC takeover within 5 to 10 years, with likelihood about 80-85%. But even if I am wrong, even if only 50%, or even if it only 10%, but the mere possibility that this takeover can happen, it brings a very important question for humanists. And I don't know what will be your answer. And the question is the main value for you is humans, human existence, human survival, humanity, or the main value is intelligence? Because intelligence is what makes humans different from other forms of life. So far, this question did not make sense because, well, it was the same. So the only form of intelligence that we had was human intelligence. But now, if we have JC, if we have this smart AI agents, maybe many of them, if they possess more powerful intelligence, maybe than human intelligence, if the role of humans is relegated to basically slaves, so if all decisions are made by this new form of intelligence, then this becomes a question. What is more important for you? Will you see this as a threat for human existence? Because we cannot guarantee that JC will care a lot about human existence. It may displace or maybe even replace humans. We don't know. So should we see this as an existential threat, or should we embrace this as this astounding event in history when the superior form of intelligence is created? And this could be kind of achievement or accomplishment. And people like Sam Altman and others who are working in this area, they are brainiacs, and they probably value intelligence over humanity. I am not sure that I accept this position, but this is the question that I want to ask you, and I welcome discussion.
So if we're going in alphabetical order by last name, you're up, Carl.
Oh, I am.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Who's speaking next? See. All right, I guess I can use this one here.
I'll give you this one.
Either one. Okay, I'll just use this. Good. Yeah, can you hear me? All right, so I have a little bit of prepared information, kind of what I'd call sheepy slides. Um, I'll kind of get into a little bit why I chose this particular topic in a little bit. Let me share screen. And here we go here. Whoops. What's going on? Why is this not? Oh, share. Oh, here we go. Okay, so I decided to talk this morning on a subject that's been on my mind for a little bit, and it's about road diets. I don't know if you folks have recognized that there's this process going on now to take away space from roads and give them to other uses. Let me get this out of the way somehow. Anyway, I'll start off with, I'm just going to read very quickly this, and then I'm going to go into the things where the questions are more interesting. So, what is a road diet? And since the 90s, road diets have become a popular tactic to calm traffic and implement multimodal transportation options. But planners and advocates often face resistance from those who are worried that fewer lanes will lead to more congestion. A road diet reconfigures an existing roadway by removing or repurposing lanes devoted to vehicle traffic. The overall impact is typically fewer cars on the road and reduced travel speeds, often for the relatively low cost of restriping. The most traditional version of road diets reduces the total number of lanes on a roadway by converting one or more lanes into a central turn lane that both traffic directions can use to make left turns. Other types of road diets might convert one or more existing lanes into bike lanes, bus-only lanes, medians, sidewalks, or landscaping. In spite of concerns often raised by the public and political stakeholders, road diets have stood the test of time. According to the Federal Highway Administration, they've been in use for more than 3 decades. One of the first installations dates back to 1979 in Billings, Montana. By the way, I stole all this by going on the internet. They have since improved safety and mobility outcomes for roads in Charlotte, Chicago, New York, San Francisco, and the other cities. Some cities have been closing down entire sections of cities in downtown areas to all traffic and making them walking and biking only. This approach is common in Europe. Road diets have been gaining more attention since the pandemic as biking activity has increased. Have increased. Simultaneously, the speeds have also increased, creating dangerous conditions for those in vehicles as well as those on foot or bike. According to the National Highway Safety Administration, there were over 6,000 pedestrian fatalities in 2020, a 3.9% increase from 2029, while pedestrian injuries rose 28% from 2019 to 2020. Meanwhile, the bipartisan infrastructure bill, good luck with that one's going forward. That was a Biden bill. Has put special focus on safety infrastructure, establishing grant programs like Safe Streets and Roads for All. U.S. Department of Transportation webpage lists the grant program, lists road diets under their examples. But why do road diets work? And what makes them a popular tactic for many DOTs and MPOs, they like these acronyms, metropolitan planning organizations, and other public agencies. One, safety, reports crash reductions of 19 to 52% due to slower speeds and fewer conflict points. Mobility encourages walking, biking, and public transit. Cost effective, often just requires restriping, especially when paired with resurfacing projects. I think we've seen some of them going on locally. Environmental benefits, reduces greenhouse gas emissions by lowering vehicle miles traveled and encouraging cleaner modes of travel. Overcoming opposition. Public resistance is common, but cities like San Leandro and Northern Virginia have succeeded through community outreach, data-driven planning, and pilot programs. If you're curious about how these projects are evaluated or want examples of before and after data, I can dig deeper into specific cases, case studies, or planning guides. Want to explore how this may apply to Sunnyvale or another city you're interested in? Real problems with road diets. I'm going to just switching over to what the problems are. 21 businesses have closed in less than 2 years since the city of Los Angeles reconfigured a 0.8 of a mile stretch of Venice Boulevard in the West Side's Mar Vista neighborhood. The city replaced one of the 3 traffic lanes in each direction with protected bike lanes, moved some street parking, and installed physical barriers. Project was also called a road diet. It's part of the city's Vision Zero and Complete Streets program. It's not working out too well, to say the least. Increasing commuter drive times creates economic disincentives. From the cozy patio restaurant and Venice Grind coffee shop on Venice Boulevard, owner Dimitrios, I can't pronounce his last name, points in the directions of neighborhood schools. Parents dropping their kids off were a huge part of our morning rush, and they're gone. Just go on here to this local projects. I just wanted to get into, just so we know what's going on here. Here, for example, City of Sunnyvale did a road diet on Java Drive to convert the 2 outer traffic lanes of Java into buffered bike lanes. This is a fantastic project that will make biking much safer and enjoyable in Moffett Park. By the way, that's a quote from the city. So here's what they did. See, they took Java Drive, looked like this. They took away an entire lane, and they put this barrier here to keep bicycles from getting killed.
So it's a one-way street now?
Hmm?
It's a one-way street now?
No. It was a 4-lane split. The folly trolley, as I call it, the trolley goes down the middle. Sunnyvale plans to create a road diet on the El Camino Real by eliminating 2 lanes of traffic for busing all the way from Mountain View to the Lawrence Expressway. There will be cement blocking to prevent street crossing in critical areas. This is going to be highly controversial. And the controversies usually are about where are these people that used to drive on the El Camino going to go? And of course, anyway, and that's one of my questions. San Jose has converted several different areas of road diets along Stephen Crease Boulevard. Different portions have different approaches. It's been going on for a long time. The middle lane splits along where the main shopping center areas are. This is an old and continuing project. They've also done made some other changes. The future, so this is what I'm really talking about here, is why do we use cars today that will make there be less need for them? Why do we use them? Transit to work, transit to shop, transit to seek entertainment. That's the usual places where we want a car. Looks like the trend, so I said these are my thoughts now. Looks like the trends of doing road diets will continue with more of them into the future. This is because of the need for more safety on streets, especially. I notice more blowing stop signs and speeding and running red lights becoming the norm. I don't know if you've noticed that, but I certainly have. Likely more mass transit and trends like self-driving Uber-like services will expand, lessening the need for cars, while mass transit will greatly expand. This means more time-efficient means to get to work. Will use of more personal, smaller vehicles, use of smaller vehicles will expand greatly. Consider electric bikes, electric scooters, electric skateboards, and small electric vehicles. They will greatly expand. They will work out for smaller distance travel. Likely continuation of the lower cost home buying and delivering services. This means no need to shop much. Perhaps distribution from large warehouse centers for things like food. That's where Amazon comes in. People are just not going to go to the stores much anymore as time goes on. Will work from home become more the norm, with far less trips to the office, if any? This requires a change in working processes. Some of my friends assume this is definitely a 3 to 5 year transition once it gets really kicked off. Some things like personal services can't be done without travel, but now many services are being brought to where one lives or works. Will this trend expand and continue? By the way, I'm gonna put these questions up later. Cities will need to find ways to enroll more of the public in the process, make much greater outreach to citizens and commercial interests as time goes on. That's what I have to say. And who comes next?
Give me a minute here. Okay, I decided I want to talk about virtual reality and its effect on the future. And I was also going to get into things like deep fakes and so on. And the two topics separated a lot as I went into it. But basically, virtual reality goes pretty far back. If you had a computer with a screen, you could go to various virtual worlds and play games there. It got a little more interesting when they came up with the goggles. When they developed goggles that would immerse you in a virtual world. So all you would see was generated by computer. It was popular for games, but also for teaching. History, math, you could actually see the effect of a function. Biology, you could examine a body, you can stretch it, shrink it, zoom in, turn it around. It would be good for geometry and a lot of other topics. But later, I realized that it's different from augmented reality. Augmented reality is actually part of the real world. It's artificial intelligence, or rather, virtual reality interfacing with a real world. And I was impressed the first time I saw someone bounce a virtual ball off a real table. I was kind of impressed with that. So that's another way of immersing yourself, but also the technology has gotten more complicated too. You have smart glasses, and you could actually communicate with gestures as well as verbal commands. You could stare at an image and blink, or just stare at it and get more information or less information. In some cases, you'd have a glove attached, so you could actually feel the contours of something. Pick it up and move it around with your hand, which felt very natural. And I suppose there are other body parts you could attach sensors to. I won't go into that. Another development that's going on right now is they're developing smart contact lenses that actually fit in the eye. Some of them have computing chips have gotten small enough they could put chips in the eye and communicate it with your cell phone or your computer or a special device. That gives you a lot more freedom. Some of them actually interact with glasses, but the glasses are simpler too. They're not the big goggles we used to have. So again, one of the things that in learning, actually developing physical skills, you could do that in a basketball cart, and court, and you could get suggestions about when to throw the ball and so on. I was impressed with an image of someone playing basketball and an arc, the virtual arc. That's where you want the ball to go. You still need to develop the skill, but what you're trying to do is guided. Use it in surgery where you can actually, look inside the body before you cut it open. And also with a lot of features, because if you modify something in an equation, you can actually see what effect it's going to have, what course something's going to take, or whatever. Actually, I think the most common thing will be everyday situations. You've seen videos where you can walk down the street and see what building is where, what rooms are for rent. Although I think for me, the big thing would be able to look at someone, and instead of wondering who they are, their name would be there, flash in front of you. Have you spoken to this person before? What are their names? How do you know them? And you can gather more information before you even open your mouth.
Still mad.
Are they still mad at me? Yes, good question. That's I think the most intriguing thing, and they comment from some of the writers is that they think that smart glasses, that kind of interaction is going to be more common than cell phones in a while. The contact lenses are a more complicated thing. They have the advantage that you could play football with them on and get feedback. The trouble is they're still developing. They're still trying to get FDA approval, and they're saying maybe 10 to 30 years before they're commercially available, and probably quite expensive, especially since in some cases you've actually got to make a contact lens for a particular person's eyes. So that's apt to be kind of expensive. And the other thing I wanted to talk about, which is a related topic, well, not as closely as I thought when I began, is disinformation, the dark side of the future. There's some question about, are we living in a post-truth age? Will we be able to figure out what's real? Can we check on information we get? And there's a lot of concern here. They say there's about a 50-50 chance that we'll never know what's real again. But I noticed the EU is taking some steps to deal with the problem. They say that they want to demonitor. I like the phrase. They want to demonetize disinformation, which I assume means somehow or other your company is going to be fined for presenting false information. They want an increased transparency of political or issue-based ads. They want a permanent task force that'll observe and adapt new laws to deal with this. And they want to make it easier for users to detect and flag false and misleading information. All of which sounds promising. It's not clearly spelled out yet, though. There are a few other things going on here. There's a project to teach students how to know what to believe, how to distinguish between news, opinions, ads, propagandas, and outright falsehoods, and how to check sources and how to go back to the motivations behind an ad or a commercial. And the suggestion was that if we use blockchains to gather all this information and AI to examine it, that might be, that would be able to find the purpose, the data behind the statements, the funding for it, and so on. So that's probably the most promising thing about this scary aspect of the future. And that's my presentation. Scott, you're up.
Right.
With the mic.
Hi, I'm Scott Wakefield. Thanks for coming this morning. I've got a little talk. It's just 10 slides that includes the title. How will self-driving cars change the world? Okay, here's my table of contents. A little bit of history. There's so much to say on this. I want to talk about safe travel, ethics, equity, economics, the environment, and personal time. I compiled a list of like 10 three-letter acronyms, but I thought I'd just start with electronic stability control. All these kind of overlap a little bit. So this one is for slippery roads and new cars. And what really struck me about this is an estimate from the National Traffic Highway Safety Information Administration, is that it could prevent 1/3 of fatal accidents. I came across this. We've all heard of the trolley problem. If you are standing at the side of the street and you have a lever and you can control which way a trolley will go, and suddenly the trolley comes down the tracks and it can't be stopped, and there might be one bad thing happening on one track and another bad thing happening on the other, and how do you decide which way to throw it? So they took a survey, and if a self-driving car is about to hit a pedestrian, but it could swerve into a wall, which would kill the passenger, which should the self-driving car do? And when they asked pedestrians, they wanted the vehicle to swerve into the wall, which would kill the passenger. And they asked passengers, and they said, no, it should kill the pedestrian. And another ethical dilemma is that right now, of course, we have this life-saving procedure, organ transplant. We need to get a fresh organ somewhere to give to the patient. And right now, 13% of organs for donation come from car crash victims. And if self-driving cars make car travel safer, this could cause a shortage of donated organs. So if we have self-driving cars, then that allows people who ordinarily couldn't own a car, couldn't travel by car, such as elderly, people who are disabled, and in general, people who don't drive. And that would make it easier for these people to get to a place where they work, a job, easier for them to get to school, and easier to get to other people where they can have social interactions. There's a lot of people who make a living out of driving. Tractor trailer truck drivers, 2 million. Bus drivers, 600,000. Taxi drivers, delivery drivers, 300,000. And just for comparison, during the 2007-2009 recession, there was a 8 million job decline in US employment from 2007 to 2009, just for comparison. Some other economic bullet points. In my neighborhood, if I'm going for a walk at certain times of the day, I'll see a long line of cars. Parents waiting to drop off or pick up their kids from school. And if we have self-driving cars, so that might free these people up. It may cut into air travel, at least for short distances. You don't have to go through, get your inspection, and it might lead to less funding for public transportation. It might make it less expensive for people, how much they have to pay for car insurance. It might make people have to pay less money over their lifetimes for repair shops. And maybe some people won't have a car at all due to what they were calling mobility as a service, which this is part of. They took a survey last year. How many people would consider buying a self-driving car? 74% of people said yes, they would consider it. Anyone know how much time I've been talking? How long have I been talking? All right. Now, if car insurance is cheaper, that number goes up to 86%. And 31% said that they would not continue to drive. There's, you ask someone a question and they don't always do what they say they're going to do. But anyway, that's an indication. The statistics I found said that right now, manually used cars are used about 4 to 5% of the time. And the other 95 to 96% of the time, they're parked and unused. So it's ripe for exploitation. In Los Angeles, 14% of the land area is used for parking. And this is old information. This is like more than 5 years ago. One city in Arizona, Chandler, changed their zoning to require fewer parking spaces. Okay. Well, the Jetsons is here because there's so much of what's in the popular imagination goes back to this stupid one-season cartoon show from 1962. And what do we see? George Jetson, Jane, his wife, his daughter Judy, his son Elroy. In the beginning of every show, George is flying his flying car around and dropping these people off. It's a flying car, and you still have to have a human being in it to drive it. So the statistics I found that personal time commuting to and from your employment is 35 minutes a day. That's 19 working days a year. So let's see. I think this kind of relates into Carl's talk, the amount of space that's required in our lives. It feeds on itself. It's dedicated to the automobile. You have to have streets that get wider and wider. You have to have parking, which means that the place you want to go has to be further away because you have to, not only as you're traveling, do you have to pass the places you're not going to, you also have to pass the roads that are needed for other people to get there. And so if we can have a more walkable environment, I think that'll be a big change. Thank you very much. I'll stop sharing. And so now we can do Q&A. And I understand there's some questions already in the chat. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Not only questions and answers, but other people who have some thoughts would like to share. Who's the master of ceremonies?
You have the mic.
Do we have any hands up? Well, if no one has a hand up, then let's go to what's in the chat. There's a question in the chat, is that right? Greg, is that right? Sandra. All right, Sandra is the first with her hand up.
Okay. So I wanted to go back to Michael's talk, and he talked about a superior form of intelligence. Well, I'm not sure that we would all be in agreement about what intelligence is or what a superior form would be. Certainly, artificial intelligence lacks a lot of the capabilities that humans have. And also, he talked about in the future, he thinks we will be able to rely so heavily on artificial intelligence suggestions, we'll just automatically accept all its suggestions. Well, would he go so far as to say, therefore, if artificial intelligence recognizes climate change, that it would consider it a danger, and therefore it would make suggestions that would solve the problem of climate change? And would that be a better thing? So that's all.
Thank you, Sandra. Michael. Michael, you're muted.
Sorry. I wanted to comment on something else, but first let me try to answer Sandra's questions. From philosophical standpoint, we could argue about definition of intelligence and about definition of many other things, like forever. From a practical standpoint, we don't have forever. We have only maybe a few years until what we call or not call superintelligence will take over. So from practical standpoint, intelligence is the ability to solve problems. That's it. It's very simple. And from evolutionary standpoint, that's the function of intelligence. It's whatever helps you solve problems that you encounter in your life in order to survive, in order to reproduce, and go along with your life. So whether we all agree or not with this definition, I would argue from practical standpoint, it does not matter. I just yesterday read about a competition between a Polish guy, I forgot his name, although he deserves to be remembered probably, who was a programmer who participated in marathon programming competition against some AI system. I believe it was O4. And the competition was organized in a way that it treats both partners equally. So it just assigns you a task, and the task was some kind of optimization problem that did not have an exact solution. So each partner had to develop some heuristics, and they provided probably automatically executed some tests to evaluate the quality of your solution. And the guy won for now. So the competition lasted 10 hours, and this guy admitted that he was completely exhausted by the end of this time. But he won, but with a very little margin, just about 10%. Better than his opponent. And I think this is probably the last time when a human programmer was able to win against AI programmer. So probably programming tasks will join the family of chess, Go, checkers, and all these other strategic games that where superiority of AI is already established, and it will be never challenged. So that's my short answer. And what, Sandra, was your second question about this?
Oh, you said that we human beings would come to accept the superior decisions of AI.
Okay.
So I thought about climate change.
Okay. Thank you for reminder. So for one thing, we will never know until it happens what will be JC's priorities on how it will decide what problems are most important. Because problems that are most important for humans, we cannot even reach agreement usually among ourselves. And Scott's provided a wonderful illustration about this trolleys question. Whether you're a pedestrian or whether you're a passenger, you will give the different answers. But assuming that JC will try to solve any problems, it will most likely come to solutions that humans would never find on their own, and they would be superior. They would be much better than whatever our human actors, politicians, policymakers, scientists could find. Because all experience, even not with superior AI systems, demonstrates that it finds solutions that are better than human solutions for the areas for which these AI systems, of course, are trained. That's my answer. So it could be a brief, maybe period, maybe for several years, when we have a kind of paradise, because JC will be able to solve most of our problems in much better ways than we would be able to do this on our own. But will it prioritize our needs over whatever its own needs? This is impossible to say, and this is what worries the heck out of me. And what I wanted to comment about this trolleys problem, how would AI system for self-driving car decide how to maneuver in this situation? I think that the algorithm must be designed in that way as to minimize the probability that anyone would be killed. And it does not matter who it is. It will just minimize the total probability of the bad outcome. And this is how the aviation systems are evaluated for now. And this could be the most sensible approach. And it does not mean that it will never make any mistakes or some kill people. It still can happen, but the likelihood of this will be much lower than for any, even the best human drivers. Thank you.
I can't help but wonder that if you say it's a question of what course of action will create the greatest probability that no one will die, that might not be the same as creating the greatest probability that both of them will survive. That is, you may take a risk to save both of them and kill them both, where you would have been better off killing one and let the other one go. Just from the body count standpoint.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not saying that there is one perfect solution for this kind of problems, but it must be probability anyway. So whatever approach.
It's a judgment, and it's just the sort of thing that I think AI wouldn't do well, because we value our judgment by the effect they have on other people and how much they're appreciated. Chip.
I'm Chip. I have, all of you have, pieces. There that goes. We've been talking about AI as though it was some monolithic, high-level, unified, and I consider its impact coming forward to be much more at the human level, and no one's really addressed that. As an engineer, I just got a job. They says, I'm a Python monkey. I cut code, and they threw me in a hole and said, "Okay, cut this code and use this tool." I don't know anything about it. Here's a conversation I had with the AI. Now, granted, I'm a Google employee, so I get the top level AI. But it was in Python pandas, I sorted a data frame and the results were not what I expected. How can I fix this? I gave it no information about what it was. I gave it no information about what was wrong. I had just said, here, solve everything that you know how to solve. What I got back was 7 pages long. Data types are crucial. The ascending and descending, multiple columns, the in-place argument, handling the missing values, the not availables and the nans, sorted by index, and then finally stable sort, which was the issue. And I knew that going in, that was the issue. I sorted something and it came out all mixed up because it was not stable sorted, and I switched to merge sort and it fixed it. And I didn't know how to do that. And it says, then we get down to stable sort, kind equals merge sort. So I threw kind equals merge sort, and the problem went away. It literally took me what would have been a dive into the tech documents for the language pandas. I got it back in seconds, and it fixed the problem. And I went forward. Now I'm a better engineer because I don't have to learn anything that it knows. Now, why does the AI that I talk to know the details of a Python import package sublanguage? I don't know if it read that from a book or if it actually looked at the sublanguage and figured it all out. That's at the level of what the AI is doing. But I took it beyond me to everyone. I've been bemoaning for, I'm with Carl, I'm an old grumpy grump. And the coming generation that is vastly homeschooled and does not know anything except the lyrics to the pop songs of the day is being tossed through the school system as rapidly as possible. Some will go to college. They may not learn anything there either. And then they're going to get thrown into the workforce. And I have been warning myself of, what this world's going to be like. And I realized that if each of these idiots learns one skill in this process, how to carve a prompt to the AI, that prompt was exactly what I wanted. And if you can carve a prompt for the AI, many problems are not your problem, they're the AI's problem. And I see this coming forward, that not when AI becomes something that is overseeing and controlling the population, but when it becomes a tool readily available and powerful and useful to any person trying to, accomplish a job somewhere in their work life. I see this as, it's not really a good thing to allow people to be idiots, but I see it coming forward that we're just going to ask all the questions that we have and we'll get the answers, and it will make our society work better.
Well, I agree with a lot of what you said, but there's a downside to every upside. And the problem that I see is that there's a certain agency that's taken away from human beings. All right, instead of struggling to figure out how to use a map when I go from one location to another, I use the navigation tools with AI. And they have shown that this actually prevents young people, or for anybody, from being able to figure out
How to read a map.
How to read a map and do other sorts of things too. And the same thing with math, with music, with learning language. So AI is really kind of rendering education in some sense obsolete. And there's a certain satisfaction with knowing that I am in possession of certain knowledge about literature, about history, about science, about mathematics, and so forth. And so there's a feeling of accomplishment. And AI is taking this away. And so there's a tendency in civilization to become so complex that it leads to its own destruction. We tend to want to make driving safer. And so we have road diets. But the problem is that with the ease of transportation, we don't see kids walking anymore, running, playing out on the street, because they're doing all this stuff virtually. And so I'm just afraid, and Harari talks about this very issue. He says that AI, computers, we're going to replace ourselves. We're going to lose our agency. We're going to lose our function. We have to have struggles in life to overcome in order for us to have a feeling of, actually, not just satisfaction, but a feeling of humanity. And I think there's a real question about whether well, look what's happening in the high schools now. Kids are having less sex. They are going out with the opposite sex less often. Homosexuality is increasing. There's people are not interacting on the telephone in person. Look how many people are in these meetings. I used to come to the Humanist meeting 10 years ago when there would be 50 people inside the building. And now there's just a handful and I come because I want to listen to people speaking personally, but instead of listening to people personally, it's like I'm watching a television. I love Michael, and he and I have had some wonderful in-person conversations. And I was hoping that he was going to be here in person this time because it said this was going to be an in-person meeting. So anyway, hi, Michael.
Hi.
Maybe sometime you will be off the screen and be in person. So anyway, there are tremendous problems that are resulting from AI. I used to be a photographer who would go out in the field, take trips and camp out. But now I've kind of moved away from photography because there's so many apps, you know exactly when the moon's going to rise, when the sun's going to set, when the moon is going to be behind the lighthouse that you want to get a picture of. And everybody else is there with their cameras, and they don't have to look for the right angle. They don't even have to leave their house to take the photographs anymore and travel anywhere because they can create this all on the screen. People are not writing poetry anymore because they're having AI do this. So I see that if you look at the world and civilization from a material point of view, AI is going to be a tremendous boon. But if you look at it from a humanistic, philosophical, spiritual point of view, which of course atheists kind of have a problem with, then I think we're in for serious problems. I see it already.
Okay, I can't help point out that every advancement, technological advancement, has cost us some talent. We've turned our strength, we've turned our speed over to machines because they're better at it, and we accept that. We'll see where that goes. Les, did you ever say anything also?
Actually, homeschooling folks on the average do better than the average person. Of course, it comes at a very high cost. You've got a dedicated person to teaching, and it's a great teaching ratio. And I think AI can help because you can have things like Khan Academy where you present topics. You know, you have a best of the kind lectures, and it's well thought out curriculum. And then you can have the AI also doing tutoring along with the live person as well. And so I think in education, it's going to be a big boon. You can have a classroom, where I have a particular stumbling block, and the AI can look at the work I've done, decide what my stumbling block is, and then walk me through that little thing, not just have me review the whole darn subject again. The problem I see with AI is jobs are going away. And perhaps there are new jobs that are going to be created, but of course there are going to be people left behind, like there is in any revolutionary change in the economy. And I think the other problem is that the AI is not all its information from human beings that aren't being compensated for their work and their job, and it's able to do their job, and then you end up, so the question is, how are people going to get a paycheck? And will this aggravate the problem of wealth inequality?
Okay. I'm going to ask again, are there any technologies that, well, think about that. Raise your hand if you have a comment you want to make about that. In the meantime, Michael, I see you got your hand up.
Yeah, first I want to ask a question about this system that you used at Google asking for this help, this programming problem. What was that system?
It's on my phone. It's on my tablet. It's called Gemini. It's the generic Google
Gemini.
AI. Yeah, it's the
And
generic AI from Google. However, this tablet knows that I have a Google account, laptop. You know, so by knowing that, it may be giving me a little bit more AI than your average Google phone.
Okay. And regarding I agree with Tom that nothing comes like for free. AI is not just your normal technical innovation that eliminates some jobs but creates other jobs. No, that's not what we are going through. It changed the role of humans in general. And it will not necessarily look like that this smart or super general super intelligence, which I called JC, that it will obviously take control and it will dictate you what to do. No, it may remain in advisory role maybe for years. And you will use it like you're using now Gemini or whatever the system. You will ask it for help, and you will accept what it tells you to do because it is so good. So this way, essentially, it will control the world without just telling you that it controls the world. And this is what Tom was saying, that we are giving up our agency. We are just, we trade our free will, if you want, for convenience. Sometimes for safety, that's a good thing. That's my comment. I wanted to say something else, but let me do it another time.
Okay, thank you. Sandra.
Yeah, I wanted to go back to Scott's presentation on self-driving cars and how many jobs would be lost because of how many jobs, such as truck driving, delivery, all that kind of thing, that humans hold. And it would seem to me that even though AI is interesting, probably even sooner than that, I appreciated that Michael, as a super forecaster, gave some specific timelines he thought that might be attached to AI ruling us, turning us into slaves. But self-driving cars actually probably are not that far away. And I can see how corporations would be very happy to have self-driving cars rather than have to pay drivers. But I'm wondering that maybe even another technology might leap drive the self-driving cars, and that might be drones as far as delivery. And even deliveries, are we going to continue as we have, having stuff delivered at great distances? Is there going to be some other kind of technology that's going to make that unnecessary? But I do think we probably have to worry about self-driving cars and not just the ethics of it. So I'd like to hear what Scott has to say.
You want to respond to that, Scott?
Just to say,
Just to say.
yes, I have heard about automatic deliveries, but not lately. I don't know why. And of course, self-driving cars. If I go to San Francisco, I see them every block.
Okay, Paul.
I received a letter yesterday from, it was postmarked in this country. It was from a guy in England, and he described himself as an attorney. Didn't use that term, but what the English would say for it. About a situation where a man in England with my same last name died with no will. Apparently, and it was a large sum of money that he left, like £3 million or something, or 30 million. I don't know. It was a big number. And under English law, it can go to a relative who establishes a relationship of some kind. The Gilbert side of my family did come from England. I don't know whether to call the police, send it to the FBI, or answer the guy's letter. But it sounded pretty iffy. But given all the complexities there, if I happen to have one of these AI instruments, could I just ask AI to sort this out for me and how I should respond to this letter?
I got one of those too. Listen. Son of a gun. Okay, I did want to make another comment though before you. Oh, well, I was happy to get the letter, and I held on to it for a while. Just I'd open it and read it and look at all that money, and then I got tired of that. It became a cheaper thrill, and I just threw it away. But I wanted to say something about should your self-driving car drive into the wall and kill the passenger or hit a pedestrian? And I think it may depend on the politics you ask of the person you ask that question to. And is it a Tesla or some other self-driving car? Just a thought. Michael.
I always have to speak after Sandra because she always asks the good questions.
She's got her hand up to speak after you, by the way.
So regarding self-driving cars, they are already in the city. In Mountain View, you can see them on the street. You can order a trip if you install this app from Waymo. It's Waymo. And they are more expensive right now, although it's hard to find the exact pricing, but they are more expensive than Uber, for instance, because the hardware is more expensive. But I guess they will get cheaper, and after they get cheaper, maybe many corporations will be happy to replace the human drivers with this Waymo-like self-driving technology because it's getting better. And I have a personal experience, not self-driving cars, but we used to have a Boeing simulator at NASA Ames, but they moved it recently to another center. But when I was at that simulator, I asked to disable FMS during cruise. So when my task as a pilot was just to keep the constant altitude. That seems easy, right? It turned out it's not so easy because you have to keep your eye on both altitude gauge and vertical speed and make these calculations in your head. and it's not easy. But for any even not particularly intelligent system like Boeing's FMS, it's a trivial task. And of course, with AI systems, they could have bad mishaps, as it happens sometimes. But generally, they will be much safer comparable to human pilots, human drivers, human operators in general. Until something really bad happens.
Okay, I misread your name. It's not Sandra. That's Suka?
Yes, hello, Suska. Hi. Hi, I'm a local artist. So I'm not like a tech person per se, although I did make art with computers in the 80s. But here's my question to you guys. So since we can assume that many jobs will be replaced by AI intelligence and people will rely more on these systems, what do you guys project will become the goal, or I don't really know if goal is right, but the prospect for our innate human intelligence? And I ask this group because you are not pro-religion. So what will be the task and the meaning? How will people use our innate intelligence for what purpose? And I don't know if I'm really putting this right, but I think you guys might get it. Thanks.
Thank you. Good question. Did you want to answer that question specifically? Okay. Or if it's quick.
Well, in retirement, I'm learning about a bunch of different things, none of which is makes me money or has a, is practical, virology, US history, blah, 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 cooking, blah, blah, blah. There's plenty of things that as a retired person, I'm interested in learning more about, and there doesn't have to be the fact that there's a big fat book that knows more about virology than I do doesn't demotivate me.
Okay, Jerry or Dana?
Oh, hi. Yeah. I saw this video online about this woman reporter in San Francisco that accepted an invitation from a car company to Waymo to use their service in San Francisco. So she got in the car, picked her up, and then she told it the destination she wanted, which was a well-known museum, the Randall Museum in San Francisco. And she was also supposed to pick her son up from school. Anyway, so she told the car her destination, and it took her some other place completely in the wrong direction. And then she said, no, you're going in, this is not right. And I want to go to the Randall Museum. But the car took her somewhere, but not the Randall Museum. Then she said, well, if you can't take me to the Randall Museum, can you please go to my son's school so we can pick him up? And the car didn't do that. And she said, and she talked about her feelings being trapped in this car that was unresponsive and was not taking her where she wanted to go. And she said she felt really quite anxious and upset and powerless, and that she would never get into one of these cars again. That video. And I would like to say, as mother of a kid that is working in San Francisco for the Waymo company, that I, was pretty unhappy to hear what she had to say.
I'd like to point out that video is 2 years old.
Yeah, that's important.
Couldn't happen again. Did you? Yeah. Jim or Chip.
Or weirdo.
Yeah,
The interesting question that was asked earlier was, what is going to be our function? Everyone assumes that AI has some overarching and unified goal for its machinations. I think it's important to realize that it's going to become what we make it. The college experience is no longer to learn all the details. The college experience is now to learn how to use the AI and the understanding it has of genetics to accomplish goals that would normally go to a person, and now this person will use AI to accomplish those goals. But the jobs that tend to people say the jobs will go away, and yes, there are jobs that will go away, but they will be replaced by someone interacting with AI to accomplish that same job. And I see that coming forward. And as far as Michael said, a very cogent point, that this is going to lead to a revolution in human destiny and goal, and how we interact in the equation of learning. And I realize that we have been through such a revolution once before. And while the ancient Greeks still had scrolls of papyrus, or the Egyptians had papyrus, the Greeks had what did they use to write on? I forget. But Gutenberg changed the equation and changed how humans interact with the process of learning. You could read the book and absorb what it had, and then you were a changed person, but the book could be copied 100 times and spread around. And somewhat, that changes how humans, what universities are, et cetera, et cetera. And I see that coming in the AI as Michael's question, where do we fit in going forward? I don't think we don't have a place going forward. I think that we will be the consumers of AI in accomplishing the goals of our company, self, or nation. So it's important that the next generation that is so poorly educated learns the task of how to create a prompt so an AI will give you exactly what you want. And if that's all they teach in college, that applies to every field now, because AI will have the base knowledge. It used to be you go to college, you go to the library and do research. The research is in your lap now, but you can still acquire and gather that research and reach results that are useful. People are still in the equation.
Yeah, what I got from your previous example was what we want to learn is how to ask the right question. That's a useful talent in almost any social situation. Michael.
Yeah, so assuming that this will be our role to become consumers, although this may be not the most important question, but still, are we comfortable to accept this role? Does it fit what we think about humanity? So I'm not sure that all people would agree with this. But anyway, what I think that we make a mistake now underestimating the pace of AI development and the pace of social change caused by this development. So one example of this was what Dana mentioned, that this Waymo's debut in San Francisco, it was pretty much a disaster. But they kept working on this, and I guess they improved it pretty dramatically. And it's now operating in Los Angeles without any problems. And now it's allowed to operate here in Silicon Valley, and I did not hear any complaints so far, at least. Now, another part of this underestimation is this idea that we should not now teach students all these technical details, but teach them how to interact with AI systems. But what this does not take into account that AI systems, they do not remain the same. And the ways of interacting with them does not remain the same, because the systems are evolving so quickly that, say, 1-2 years ago, one of the hot jobs was this AI prompt engineer. And it was well paid, sometimes even better than just like normal software engineering job. Now it's gone. They are not needed anymore, it's turned out, because this special skill is no longer needed, or at least people can pick this as a part of their other job responsibility. So we don't need this dedicated job for AI prompt engineers. And by the way, now recent college educated students, they are already having trouble with finding entry-level jobs, in particular in software engineering, because the companies, many companies already decided that AI would do these jobs. Maybe they are not right yet. Maybe right now AI is not so good as human programmers. But 1-2 years from now, this could be the case. So we already feel the effect of this AI replacing humans in some mass professions, and it can get worse. So let me stop at this, although I have another comment, but I'll try to remember it.
Okay, Sandra, and then Jerry, and then we'll try to wind it up. Sandra?
Yeah, I have a question for Carl. I never heard of road diets before, but I guess I can see the evidence all around me that that's happening. And Carl sounded as if he was not happy about this happening. So I'd like to hear more about what he thinks the downside are, but also, where is it decided which lanes of traffic there will be? Is somebody in the planning office deciding that, or is it AI that's imposing on us what it thinks is best for our driving or pedestrian habits? Thanks.
Sandra, it's decided in city council meetings where they set up transportation corridors and what have you. And
who presented those ideas for the council to consider?
Well, they have a group that does it and then makes presentations to the city council.
So
it's just like housing. Yeah, it's just like housing, permitting and all that sort of thing. But the problem that seems to be, in my personal opinion, when the government does something, in order to justify getting more money, they cheat when they get their statistics. You know damn right well that if they block the El Camino Real, people are going to start driving around in other places that weren't used to being driven on. As a result, there's going to be accidents on those streets. What they do is they do a test right after they make the conversion, where the accidents haven't had time to occur yet. But I see plenty of people just doing crazy things, although I have seen them where they are quite helpful. For example, near schools now, if you go down Remington Street in Sunnyvale, and you get close to the Challenger School, that's at Marion, Sunnyvale, they've now blocked it off so you can't do what people used to do, blow through the intersection, just about missing cars. And of course, there's kids crossing the street to get to the school. And so what they did was they made it so they set it up so that you have to make a very sharp turn to get onto that street. And that's done all over the place, San Jose and Sunnyvale. And that's helpful, right? Well, no one's going to argue with that, although it does slow traffic down. But I think during rush hour, people are going to go crazy and they're going to start doing a lot of unusual things they never did before. And of course, with these applications like Waymo, they'll tell you how to get around. And as a result, they're going to be blocking up neighborhoods all over the place because that's a well-traveled road. A lot of the other roads, well, like I said, the commercial impact is gigantic because a lot of trucks double park when they're delivering. Pick away a lane, that means they stop the whole lane. Anyway, it's just some ideas.
Okay, Dana or Jerry?
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I guess what I wonder about is what kind of social disintegration all of this pecking away at computers and having questions and only going to a machine for answers is going to do about the relationships between parents and children, the relationships between teachers and students, and just human relationships in general. Because the kids can say now, I don't have to learn that stuff. Just look it up on your phone. I had that experience as a classroom teacher when I would be giving a test or something like, a language test. And I realized the whole bunch of students were getting perfect scores. And I thought, wow, these guys are really advanced. And it turns out I'm so stupid. They were all getting the answers off their phones. They didn't have to learn anything. So my question is, what's going to happen to human intelligence and human in general, and to human interactions in also, that I just don't understand how that's going to work.
Are you done?
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple of comments. One is that my understanding of history is that people are usually pretty poor about predicting the future, and I think that's still true. And what AI is going to do, Michael's making a lot of good points, and I'm not discounting that stuff, but I think there's still going to be some surprises. Another point was that, we're having rising income inequality in this country, which is having a significant effect on power, and I'm sure that's going to affect things. And last, a month or two ago, I sent out a link to a video of a group of about 5 or 6 people. They wanted to write a script for a TV series on superintelligence and how they would control it. And they finally decided, well, they couldn't really control it. So they decided to abandon the whole project. And I think that video was very educational. I don't remember how to find it. I don't remember enough to find it at this point, but
we actually did it as a forum. So if you go to our web page, we should have a list of previous forums, and it'll also include the videos we've watched. Yeah, I remember that one.
Oh yeah, you're right. You did watch that. We did watch that. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to give Jeff next to last word, Michael last word, and then we're going to walk away. Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Just a response to Dana and AI in the classroom. When I was going to the classroom, there was no AI, but we still weren't allowed to check our books during a test. It's just a source of knowledge. You know, if what it used to, the book has now been replaced by a much bigger book called AI. And I see that coming forward. And one other thing about the trolley problem, where a trolley is going to crash into that group of people or the bigger group of people, and you have to throw the switch to stop it. The correct answer is wait for the front of the trolley to go clack, clack over the switch, and then throw the switch and put the back wheels going the other way. The trolley will derail and no one will be killed.
Yes, except for the people in the trolley. That wasn't part of the problem as presented, so you've solved it. Okay, Michael, keep it short, okay?
And this could be a solution suggested by AI, by the way, or something non-trivial, unexpected. But what I wanted to say about, I agree with Jerry regarding surprises. Yes, there will be surprises. But my prediction about that JC will be created and will be created soon, I have a high confidence because this is based on already existing technical capabilities. But there is another problem, which is called the problem of superalignment. How these values will be aligned with our human values? What and how much will it care about humans? How it will prioritize different problems? And for this, it's not only that I cannot say anything. I think no one can say anything about this, because the solution for this super alignment problem, there is no proof that this problem has a solution. Maybe it does not have a solution. And everything will depend on this.